Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is the fifth installment of the TUSK M&A Update. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We see folks still joining. So as we continue to have people join, we just want to tick through a couple of housekeeping items. Per usual, there is a Q&A section on your screen. If you have questions over the course of tonight, please submit your questions and we will respond to them. If we don't get to them this evening, we will certainly respond to you with an email in the next 24 hours. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions tonight, so please get your questions in early and we will try our best to respond in real time. All right, so tonight I am joined by Ryan Mingus and Alex Chernaevsky. Guys, you want to say hi?
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, well, welcome back, guys. We had quite an April. I've heard of Christmas in July, but I think our clients really enjoyed a Christmas in April. It was quite a slog here for the last couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Really looking forward to diving into all of those deals that we closed in April and kind of giving the backstory on all of those.
Yeah, it was an exciting month. Kind of hot right up until the end, and kind of got the plate full for the next round over the next couple of months too.
Yeah, after working nonstop around the clock, everybody here at TUSK was able to take the full weekend off. So it was a really nice break from the change from what we typically see around here. We'll go ahead and get started here. Tonight we're going to cover the M&A update. We're going to be looking back at things we've seen inside the industry from a global perspective, from a large DSO perspective, give you a kind of a look into some of the transactions we've been working on, and a preview of things to come. So buckle up, and we look forward to entertaining you over the next 45 minutes to an hour. Quickly, an overview of TUSK for those of you who are not familiar with us or the business. I'm Kevin Cumbus, co-founder and president of the business, and manage the M&A activity inside of the business today. Just a little background on me: 10 years of finance and investment banking, followed by 15 years in the business of dentistry. I feel really lucky to have found that nexus where my passion meets the opportunity in the space today. So just couldn't be happier for where we are inside of the space in TUSK. Ryan, do you want to take a minute to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Kevin. Ryan Mingus, Director of Mergers and Acquisitions here at TUSK Partners. I'd spent virtually all of my professional career in the business development side and strategy side of healthcare. Started out more in the hospital-based world as a rep for Johnson & Johnson, moving into investor relations for a surgery center. After going to business school, started working in the management consulting space, focusing on my background in ambulatory surgery center and M&A strategy for our hospital-based clients. And then got into the dental world through Align Technology, where I was brought in to do strategy within the DSO space at Align, both internal and external consulting, and have been here at TUSK for about 1.5 years now, and it's been a whirlwind of a time, and couldn't be more excited about the rest of this year.
Yeah, it's been drinking from a fire hydrant since you came on. You don't just seem to be surviving, but thriving, Ron.
Well, thank you, Kevin.
Alex, let's pass it over to you.
Thanks, Kevin. So quick background about myself. Started off my career with GE Aviation, a couple of years in corporate finance, rotational program. Got into M&A through Wendy's, helping them value and transact on their system refranchise process, selling off their company-owned restaurants. Kind of continued down that refranchise track in management consulting, M&A, for a Fortune 100 consumer beverage company client, essentially helping them refranchise sell their manufacturing assets to their bottler network. So M&A experience in the quick service restaurant space and the consumer beverage manufacturing space. Good transition into TUSK. Been here a little over a year, and have found it's been a kind of an exciting space and in fast-paced work environment.
Alex, thanks a lot. Alex, Ryan, you guys really work directly with all the M&A clients, so your input tonight I know will be invaluable to everyone listening this evening. Just a quick tusk by the numbers here. We work exclusively in the M&A advisory space. We've got 5 dedicated team members who collectively have worked over 150 dental practice transactions, have over 40 years of experience in the space, and have closed over $500 million worth of transactions. Over the life of the business, our average exit multiple is 7.2 times EBITDA, and we work nationwide and cover all specialties. So if you have a dental practice, you're our client. So if you have got questions about who we are, what we've done, feel free to reach out to us directly. One thing I want to make you aware of is we're going through these webinars, and we've had so many people reach out to us over the months of this year. They've asked, look, it's been great to hear you guys and see you guys present digitally, but I miss seeing you live. Well, we're happy to announce we will be live and in person. We're going to be at the Dykema DSO conference in Denver, Colorado. They've been kind enough to invite us to put on a one-day M&A workshop on Wednesday, July 28th from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll have breakfast and lunch here. We're going to be bringing in some of the best and the brightest leaders inside of our space to share with you their perspective. We're going to have Dr. Villanueva from MB2 talking about the evolution of consolidation in the industry. Ryan will be hosting a buy-side panel, including Dental Care Alliance, Independence, and MB2. We're going to talk about how attorneys can really drive success in your transactions, and some of the attorneys from Dykema will be joining us for that event. And then getting past letter of intent. Alex is really going to run this panel for us and thinking through what it takes to not just get through the quality of earnings process, but also making sure that the lender who's attached to the DSO can get the deal done. Finally, we'll be hosting a private equity roundtable. Rock Mountain Capital and others will join us for that, and you can hear the way private equity is thinking about the space today. We mention private equity a lot here because they've taken a keen eye to our industry, and they're bringing big bags of money to the industry today. It's something like we've never seen. We've been instrumental in building 2 platforms in April. So it's important to us that everyone know what's going on in the space, and we're elated to get to host this conference. This is limited to 100 attendees. The attendees should be pre-private equity, either single locations or groups. So for those of you who listen to us regularly and are already backed by private equity, we're sorry we're going to have to shut the door on you for this one. We want to get this information out into the minds of people who need it the most. Space is already filling up for this. We have 50 spots remaining. So if you'd like to register, you can just go to dykemadso.com /tusk-workshop.com. You can also find a link to it on our website. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Ryan, let's go ahead and hand it over to you, and you
Sure.
can give us an update of what's been going on in the M&A markets from your perspective.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin. And by the way, really looking forward to that event out in Denver later this summer. So those of you that have attended some of our webinars before have probably seen this slide. It really illustrates all of TUSK's deals by specialty to get to really what we're able to provide our customers from a multiple perspective and give everybody the lay of the land to illustrate enterprise value. Also keeping in mind that enterprise value is not the only factor that everybody should consider. Oftentimes our clients aren't taking the highest enterprise value. However, it's obviously one of the most important metrics when comparing other deals. The real takeaways are here on the right side with the comment section. So we feel that one of our biggest differentiators is the number of buyers that ultimately we're doing deals with. So of the 21 transactions, we had 16 different buyers. We're certainly focused in the group space, and as a result, as you can see, the group practices certainly fetch a much higher multiple than solo comps. And finally, running a competitive process is what we feel is the biggest differentiator for us. We know it takes a lot of time, and we'll even stress a little bit later today as to how much time you really need to give yourself when going to market. But running a competitive marketed process is the main driver in the valuations that we're able to create for our clients. So you can see, anywhere between 33 and 100% increase from an unsolicited offer to ultimately a deal that our clients are accepting once they run through this competitive marketed process.
Yeah, I'll just add, like, a lot of our clients that we have come to us with an unsolicited offer in hand.
Yeah.
So we know where DSOs have pegged them with respect to perceived value. And then to be able to run them through a process and increase the value by 33 to 100% is just staggering to me.
Yeah. We even have a great example of that here coming up shortly. So Kevin mentioned earlier that April was an absolute banner month for TUSK Partners, and I think this slide certainly lays it out. We had 6 different clients comprised of 21 total locations, all in about $47 million of collections across the board. And through those 6 transactions, we were able to achieve $160 million worth of enterprise value to our clients. So that's a staggering month. If we could just annualize that out for the year, we would be pretty happy, but also probably pretty miserable.
I'd say we earned our weekend break through the month of April.
So just to kind of break that down a little bit, a lot of these deals we were hoping were going to get completed in Q1 earlier, either January, February. These were deals that were kind of hung over from 2020 and for whatever reason weren't able to close in 2020, but we were able to get them closed in 2021. And a lot of it had to do with the burnout that we feel that attorneys and CPA firms of these quality of earnings groups were having to really push deals through. So a couple of these blew past their initial close date, which was okay. I mean, for better or worse, we got the deal closed. But I think that's certainly a signal that will play out a little bit later when we're trying to talk about all the things that have to go right for you to get your deal done in a timely manner. To break this down, we had single location practices. These are larger single location practices, multi-doctor. 2 of them were general dentistry practices, stretching literally from coast to coast. So we covered every time zone. And we had an orthodontic practice, very large, single location, 2-doctor practice. And collectively, those 2 those 3, we were able to 2.24 times on that EBITDA multiple.
6.24.
Excuse me, 6.24 times. Thank you, Kevin. And then for group practices, we had 2 general dentistry groups, 3 location and 7 locations respectively. And those were really fun transactions. One of them was actually a very, very efficient process, and we were able to get it done in I think probably all in 6 months total, which is pretty unique for a large three location general dentistry group. And we were also able to complete a very large orthodontic group deal. Kevin, if you want to maybe touch a little bit on that one.
Yeah, it was another transaction that was held over from COVID. We've talked about these in the past where we had some deals that were under letter of intent, had a strategic signed up. The strategic was unable to get capital during COVID because the lender just hit pause on all acquisition activities. We were able to take the deal back to market, actually increase the economics for our client. He ended up selling less of his business on a percentage basis and taking more homes. So this was a home run for him. Couldn't be happier for them, and it resulted in a newly formed private equity-backed group that is now a ready buyer in the space, looking for Medicaid, pedo, ortho, oral surgery.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an incredible deal for our client, incredible deal for us, and having a new buyer in the space is always very much welcomed. We also formed one other PE-backed platform, that was the general dentistry one. So we've got a new buyer created in the space and are already looking to load them up with new acquisitions. And then the main takeaway here is that these were 6 unique buyers. So 6 deals, 6 unique buyers. That makes for a lot of work for us and Alex and everybody involved. But as a result, I think it just is indicative of the marketed process that we run does not ultimately have the same 1, 2, 3, 4 buyers winning the day. And we feel that is a huge differentiator for us and certainly something that we point out to when working with folks before they become engaged with us to make sure that they understand that this is a very long process and it's not to be taken lightly, and we want to bring a lot of different buyers to the table, and oftentimes our clients are picking a pathway that they quite frankly didn't know existed before, and maybe a pretty far deviation from what they thought they were going to be doing when they started the process and exploring the market.
Yeah, I'll just add to this. What we've seen over the years is certain DSOs kind of get the hot hand at various times, depending on what they're going through on their own acquisition pipeline, what they're in the process of closing, what their lender's appetite is for additional acquisitions, or where they are in their lifespan with respect to a recapitalization. And by knowing the buy side the way we do, we're able to bring really their best offers to the table. I know in one of these transactions, Ryan, you stretched the DSO to the highest multiple they ever paid for a single location.
Yeah.
And that's the industry knowledge that is just critical when you're thinking about selling your business compared to going it on your own or working with TUSK.
So obviously that was a banger month, and it's going to be a tough act to follow, but we're going to do our best. So pipeline here, we've got $85 million of deals under LOI and expected to close in the next 60 days. We're pushing heavily. I know Alex is working diligently to get everything through Q&V, and we've got a few groups already into pretty far down the road with legal. So we feel great about these 4 opportunities getting closed within this 60-day window, but pretty wide range of opportunities for us. A very successful single ortho practice. We've got a multi-specialty group. That's, how many locations is that one?
It's large and growing every day.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's going to be a special deal. And when it closes, it'll be another newly formed private equity-backed group and a big acquirer down in the Southeast.
Yep. We've also got 2 different oral surgery groups, again, coast to coast, mid-Atlantic region all the way out to California. 2 different buyers for those oral surgery groups as well. So, and then finally, we've got a large general dentistry practice that we should be wrapping up in a pretty timely manner as well. Things coming to market in the next 15 days or so is a very large pedo ortho platform that could potentially go either way. Could be a newly formed private equity backed platform in the space, or could be aligning themselves with a strategic. Not sure where that one's going to go, but excited for our client to explore that. We've also got a very large endodontic platform coming to market, which we're extremely excited about. That one's been a long time coming. I know Alex has worked tirelessly to get that business prepared to go to market. And then we've got general dental groups as well coming. So large spectrum of specialty types, deal sizes, and kind of seller profile, but it's going to be a whirlwind to get to the end of the year for sure.
Yeah, I love what we do because every deal is so unique. Every owner group is so unique, and then we're working with a buyer pool that's ever changing in what they're looking for, and staying on top of all those pieces is the challenge and the reward of what we do. And so this is good. I'm glad you guys did take the weekend off because it looks like we have some work to do over the next couple of days.
Yeah, as Ryan said, these processes can occur over a wide range of time. Sometimes we see deals start and close within pretty short spans. Sometimes they can take a much longer time. But kind of what we've observed is each process is a bit of a relay race, and somehow they all kind of start at different points, but they do seem to kind of come together in the end and close in a pretty spectacular fashion in the same month.
Yeah,
seen it a couple times.
Well said. So we do want to touch on this. We harp on it quite often in our podcasts. It's nobody likes a one-horse race. The buy side out there is peppering and flooding, I'm sure, all of your inboxes and your mailboxes with information about their organization in an effort to get an unsolicited offer in front of you and potentially get your deal closed without going through a marketed process. So we wanted to sort of share a case study here where we have a large oral surgery platform that we're under LOI and hoping to close in that 60-day time frame that we just talked about. And when they came to us, they were very certain that they wanted to get a deal done, and even had explored an opportunity with a group about a year and a half at the time. So at this point, I think we're about 2 years out from the example, but I think at the time they were about a year and a half removed from exploring an offer with a strategic. That strategic came to the table with about an $18 million offer. And our client declined that offer. Again, a year and a half later, engaged TUSK to take them through a marketed process. Through that process, we were able to get them the analytics complete, build a virtual data room, send out the tear sheet or the teaser, and that resulted in 14 qualified buyers signing an NDA, getting access to the virtual data room. And from there, we received 5 letters of intent, both from some strategics and from pure play private equity groups. This is a marquee practice that certainly could have been an inaugural platform for a private equity group. And ultimately, what the valuation ended up resulting into our client was about an 80% improvement from the unsolicited offer that they had obtained about 2 years prior. And we would say single digit, maybe even low single digit revenue growth from the TTM period from 2 years ago to the period that we took to market. So the business, that our clients are very quick to say that the business isn't that much better. It just was really a result of the marketed process that got them to that increased valuation.
It's unbelievable. It's just staggering.
Yeah, and everybody's all the better for it. I think our client's extremely happy, and the buyer's extremely happy and feel that they're paid a fair price for the opportunity. It's just indicative of an unsolicited offer versus a marketed process.
Yeah, and I think we've seen demand pop up pretty significantly for specialty groups.
Absolutely.
So more demand drives up prices as well.
Yep.
Ryan, thanks for the memories on that. Thanks for the tour on that. I wanted to kind of zoom out a little bit and take us up to let's call it more larger news of the DSO space. We have seen some pretty transformational acquisitions in the last 5 months. Some of these date back to the end of 2020, but I think that it's important that we remember the past so we understand what just happened. Anyone who follows the news understands and recognizes that American Dental Partners, which is sold to Heartland, and we want to get to that trade, but we want to look at a couple of different transactions that led up to that deal. So in November of 2020, Aspen broke their streak of de novos and actually made a monstrous acquisition of Clear Choice. This added 60 locations. If you know the Clear Choice model, these are big practices focused on all-in-fours, tooth replacement, and implants. And this is we think about where Clear Choice positions itself. It's a high-end, expensive product, and they've had a ton of success with it. And you marry that with Aspen's business model around access to care and creating patients where they don't exist, and leveraging the fact that most people in the United States don't visit the dentist each and every year and don't get their teeth cleaned. So Aspen now is really barbelled the market, right? They're going after the patients that might not visit on a regular basis, now the patients that have $50,000 to spend on a full mouth restoration. This acquisition created a total of 910 locations across 42 states and is clearly transformational for Aspen and for the private equity sponsor that's owned them since 2017. Got to wonder when that deal is going to trade.
Yeah.
Secondly, Smile Brands, they had a little bit of a foot fault on their process. They weren't able to get what they wanted with respect to valuation here at the fourth quarter of last year. And what do? They come out of the gate swinging and purchase Midwest Dental. I didn't see this coming. Them adding 230 locations across the Midwest and New England area results in a combined 650 locations across 30 states. So these were transformational acquisitions at the top of the cap table, sorry, at the top of the league tables, where we're seeing big consolidation up top. Now to May of this year, just 2 days ago, we see this hit the wire that American Dental Partners, a company we have known for a really long time, have done a lot of transactions with early on in our career and are really familiar with that business. It decided to partner with Heartland Dental. This is creating the nation's largest DSO. They're going to have over 2,300 supported dentists at 1,400 locations. So you look back and you think about what happened in 2020 when the M&A markets hit pause and no lenders were doing deals. There was a little bit here or there. It was a trickle compared to the waterfall that we were accustomed to in 2019. And then we see these three landmark transformational transactions. How much of this is making up for lost time? How much of this is maybe some businesses targets potentially looking for shelter from the storm? Any way you slice it, the big just keep getting bigger. And I believe that this is a sign of more to come. There are going to be some more big trades in the market. We know that other large DSOs were looking at the American Dental Partners transaction, but for one reason or another, Heartland won the bid here. And in picking up 278 locations, I think they'll hit their business development targets for 2021. All right, let's look to three key insights from M&A markets thus far. It's absolutely been an interesting year, and we want to provide you three new trends that we're really seeing right now.
Yeah, I think we touched on it briefly, but I think we'll go in. So definitely an increased demand for specialty. We feel like it was more attributable because they performed better during COVID. So feel that a lot of the groups out there, oral surgery specifically, endodontics and orthodontics, all performed very well during COVID. And as a result, feel that there was an increased appetite for them coming out of COVID. Also feel that the Smile doctors, they were kind of the original specialty specific DSO, that they are picking up speed. And after going through a couple of recapitalizations, other groups private equity groups have decided to come in and want to participate in the specialty space. It's resulted in higher valuations than the GP deals that we've been representing so far this year, which is great. And we're really looking forward to seeing what the rest of these opportunities look like that we're taking to market next month.
One thing I find really interesting about these trades is in pedo, you've got a lot of Medicaid. And we're looking at ortho deals now that have large exposure to Medicaid, 60% exposure to Medicaid. And that really used to be a third rail issue. People did not want to touch Medicaid. Buyers are getting more sophisticated and understanding that Medicaid is a state-by-state issue. They're looking at the fundamentals of the state's budget, balance sheet, and trying to get a deeper opinion on that stroke of the pen risk that we hear so much about. You look at Medicaid in, call it Illinois, compared to Medicaid in a state like Pennsylvania or Indianapolis. I'd much rather own the Medicaid risk in Pennsylvania and Indianapolis than I would in Chicago, in Illinois, just given the historical lack of a balanced budget in Illinois and the capital city and all that they do up there. So it is good to see Medicaid finally get its due and recognition that pediatric Medicaid and ortho Medicaid in particular is very, very different than adult Medicaid.
Yep. We've also seen large increase demand for groups, right? So you saw Heartland's acquisition, Smile Brand's acquisitions. It's not just at the big practice level, but also at that $1 million to $5 million worth of EBITDA groups as well. We've been lucky enough to have a few of those platforms come to market recently, and certainly feel that the large strategics, in an effort to make up for a slow 2020, are really targeting those $1 million to $5 million EBITDA businesses, and willing to pay up for those because they're, for the first time in a while, really layering in the credit that they should for the synergies that they're going to be picking up through the acquisition.
Yeah, I love deals of this size, that $2 to $5 million of EBITDA. We're able to bring strategics and financial buyers to the table, and there are more private equity groups interested in dentistry than ever before. So that adds to deal tension. It adds to a competitive process that ultimately results in higher valuations for our clients each and every time. And they get to choose a risk profile that they want to partner with, be that inaugural acquisition, be that inaugural platform, roll a sizable amount of equity, and potentially hit the jackpot with that equity, or go with a steady, stable, and growing DSO that's on its second or third private equity sponsor. Maybe the returns on the equity aren't as rich, but the likelihood of the returns is much higher.
And from a multiple perspective, I think we're really finally, like Ryan said, seeing Stu, we're seeing a bridge in EBITDA multiples from those low single practice multiples to the very large Heartlands, et cetera, multiples. Like, it really feels like these groups are starting to bridge the gap in making those high multiples more obtainable to kind of these independent, smaller but still big dental groups.
That's a really good point. We are seeing them even stretch to double-digit multiples now, which we were told in 18 and 19 they'd never get to, and here we're seeing strategics actually stretching that far.
Yep. Yeah, and I guess this is something we haven't really hit on too much today or this evening. In the COVID-adjusted EBITDA, it's something we've all talked about, thought about. I'm pretty sure I have a coffee mug on my desk that says EBITDAC, throwing COVID at the end after amortization. Buyers and lenders, we all have discussions about the right methodology for the right practice. We've seen a broad spectrum of adjustment approaches across a large variety of buyers. We've seen these deals close with these EBITDA adjustments. But we still see every now and then, even recently, agreed upon valuation approaches get re-scrutinized by lenders. When macro environments change, and it creates a lot of heartburn with our clients. And so we are seeing instances where we now see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we even have LOIs in play where we're talking about valuation periods ending, let's say, end of June, but going under contract today with full acknowledgement that the business's performance will be kind of fully washed out by the end of June. And so this is something we're really starting to feel under contract and kind of excited to I guess, put in the rearview mirror as we head into latter half of 21.
I feel like COVID adjusted EBITDA has been, it's been soft, it's been squishy, it's been hard to nail to the wall. And we've come at it from an academic perspective, we've come at it from a little bit of a artistic perspective. We've gotten feedback from the biggest and the best accounting firms inside of our industry. We've tried to lean on those experts to give us a sound foundation from which to go to market on COVID adjustments, only to find that buyers look at it differently. And it's resulted over the last 6 months of vastly different, quote unquote, COVID adjusted EBITDAs that bidders are putting their multiple on. I mean, it's been a big issue and a big challenge. And like you, I can't wait to see this thing fall to the rearview mirror. It has been academically interesting, but it has been frustrating and troublesome from a valuation perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely cut down on a lot of the back and forth with not just LOI negotiations, but also in the Q of E phase as well. So really, really happy to get that behind us.
Yeah, the timing on this is good. I'm happy to see this fall off right here before the end of the year, before the final push. So it'll be great to get some clearer letters of intent hammered out with some numbers that are certain and that will clearly not just survive but thrive through the QV process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alex, thanks for that on the COVID adjusted. We're going to tick right now over to 3 reasons to consider to sell now. If you've been watching our webinars, you've seen us cover these in the past. It's something that just bears repeating. We've written about it, we're talking about it, and we keep doing so because it's important to us that each and everyone be informed about what's going on inside of the space. So if you are thinking about a sale of your business in the next couple of years, there's a little bit of a perfect storm going on today. And that's what we want to share with you is the three-legged stool, or the 3 pieces of this perfect storm. So you fully understand if you're thinking about it in the next 2, 3, 4 years, now might be the time you want to consider a sale. The number one reason for this is that demand has never been higher. In 2020, when deals were put on pause, larger DSOs were not able to hit their targets, the EBITDA that they needed to acquire. Today, many of them have recapitalized with new lenders that understand the environment that we're in. They're more active than they ever have been. We have more bids on every single deal we're taking to market than we have ever seen. Ryan, you took a smaller transaction to market here pretty recently. Do you want to just share what that experience was like?
Yeah. So single location, pretty large general dentistry practice, not in an especially marquee market or anything like that, but extremely rich margins and a practice that is poised for growth just from an infrastructure standpoint. So we took this to market, and within 24 to 48 hours, I had a complete list of folks that were interested. I'd say it was 15 NDAs we got signed, and then we're down to 5 LOIs right now. So and that was a very efficient process, which is always great, but not always the case. So we're hoping to get that one done in a very timely manner, but it really was indicative of the feverish demand that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, so this is great for sellers, right? The market's moving quickly. Bids are coming in quickly. They're coming in higher than we saw in 2019, and there are multiple bids that hit the need for the seller. Yes. Now the seller is able to actually, once the financial needs are met, now they can choose the group that's going to provide the right legacy for them and their families, for their team, and for their patients. And that's great, not being able to just pick the highest value because you have to have it. It's the linchpin of your retirement, but rather we've crossed the finish line of retirement on all these deals. So now let's pick the right group for your legacy. Number two is taxes are going up. This is no secret. If you've read a newspaper in the last, I don't know, week, day, minute, there are going to be increases in the tax code, and we got to pay for the deficit somehow. We don't know where they're going, but they're certainly going up. Indications are that the ordinary income tax rate and long-term capital gains rate are going to 39.6, 39.7%. It will result in about an 82% increase in the taxes paid to just the federal government in your transaction. We've run that math before for you all. You know that in order to outpace this, meaning sell this year or sell next year, you really need to grow your EBITDA by about 20% over that 12-month period to ensure that you get the same after-tax net benefit compared to selling today versus selling next year. So it will have a material impact in the net benefit to owners. The one thing we want to focus on today is that the great deals take time. Ryan shared with you before that it's about a 4 to 6 month process to get deals done. I looked back at my notes from last year, Alex. We closed that one transaction in South Carolina in 51 days.
Yeah.
So I know it can happen more quickly. It was a Herculean lift for all parties every day and every night to get that transaction closed. So because these deals take time, I fully expect, let me say it this way. Because it takes this long, if you want to ensure that your business closes this year, the sooner you act, the better off you're going to be. And right now, if you act now, you'll be able to get a true, let's call it TTM, uncovered adjusted EBITDA, mm-hmm. so that will be received better by the market. Buyers still have dry powder to spend, so the buying pool hasn't shrunk at all. Mm-hmm. And it will allow you the longest time between going to market at the end of the year to negotiate all the documents, which we know that takes time as well.
Yeah, and you also want to have an opportunity to explore as many buyers as you can.
Yeah.
So running a marketed process, you're in market for a month to 2.5 months, depending on how many bidders that we have and what your interest level lives and what level of diligence you want to do on them and they want to do on you. So, I think running a marketed process is you want to give yourself as much time as you possibly can.
Yeah, look, I don't have any concerns about our team's ability to execute and get a deal under letter of intent. This doesn't become a TUSK bandwidth issue. It really becomes a bandwidth issue with all of our trusted partners out there. Not to say that they're not scaling up like we are and they're adding team members, adding capacity, but I do think it's worthwhile to kind of go through what we're talking about with respect to choke points inside of the market. So when we get a letter of intent executed, there will all of these transactions that are going to happen. This is not just from TUSK's perspective. Think about all the DSOs out there that are actively pursuing deals. You've gotten the unsolicited offer from them in your inbox and in your mailbox. Everyone is going to be pushing hard to get transactions closed. DSOs, private equity groups, and our guess is they're going to still continue to put letters of intent out through October with the hopes that they're able to get these closed before the end of the year. This is going to put pressure on the entire M&A system. The system is not just M&A advisors like us and the buyers. Once these deals get signed up with a letter of intent, they have to then go through a quality of earnings process. Alex, do you want to talk a little bit about what the quality of earnings process is and the timing around that?
Yeah, every QOV firm is different, but one thing to note is that these quality of earnings teams, what they do is extremely detailed. It's a precise process that they go through, and it's a process of taking information from a huge spectrum across the industry of dental practice management softwares and getting this information on an even playing field. And this kind of data massaging, as I like to put it, takes several weeks. It can take 4 weeks to do. If you're a specialty, sometimes there's a very lengthy cash to accrual process. These quality of earnings teams are essentially aligning your business activities with the economics that your business has received. in filtering out a lot of the noise with timing and cash versus accrual payments, et cetera. So we see typically 4 weeks, but we have seen QV processes take several months.
Yeah, and this is a very manual process. I mean, this isn't pushing buttons and pulling reports and the number just pops out. There are a lot of man hours that go into each one of these reports, and I guess what I'm foreseeing is a potentially where QV firms have deals stacked up on their desks, and the deal that you execute a letter of intent on in October, it's at the end of the line.
Yeah.
So one thing we'll be making sure of to include in our letters of intent are some clauses around ensuring that these deals close, and if not, what the ramifications could be, because we want our buyers to make our deals their number one priority.
Yeah.
And shepherding them through this process. Ron, once we get through the QV phase and we've got certainty around the EBITDA, we've got certainty around deal structure, it then moves on to the attorneys.
Yeah, and this is inches of documents, legal documents, comprised of asset purchase agreements, employment agreements, shareholder agreements, any side letters that might need to exist, leases. There are a lot of different elements to the legal process and a lot of moving parts. So it's critical that you give yourself enough time to spend with the documents to get the best deal that you possibly can and have as much time as you need to negotiate all of these points. You don't want to be rushed through this process because there are a lot of different ramifications that last long beyond the cash at close component with respect to these employment agreements, shareholders agreements, things of that nature.
That's well said. I just think ensuring that you pick the right legal team here is important. Working with your brother-in-law or sister-in-law who happened to close on your lake house is probably not the right pick when in any deal, but especially in the fourth quarter of this year.
Right.
So really choosing the right firm matters more maybe this year than ever.
Yeah, and on that same thread, we see a lot of comparable names or significant names pop up frequently on a lot of our deals that align. And the industry has recognized these kind of key information holders, deal executors, as vital to the deal process, and so they get booked up pretty quick, especially with all the deals getting signed right now.
Yeah, I don't want anyone on the webinar to misinterpret anything this evening, that this is sensationalism or like Chicken Little. Again, these are the facts of the market as we see them, and we want you to know what we know. So if you've got questions about anything you've heard or seen this evening, feel free to give us a call or reach out to us directly, because we want everyone that knows us to make a well-informed decision about the sale of their life's work. This year may not be the year for you, but not knowing this is inexcusable in our minds. So thanks to everyone for your time this evening. It has been great. Thanks to those of you who have lobbed in questions. We see you, we appreciate you, and we will get back to you. I'm getting the nod from our producer that we need to wrap it up. He's doing that rapid thing with his finger where he's circulating it really, really fast. So I'll take that as wrap it up, Kevin, Ryan, and Alex. I'll end by saying this: we want to help you. We are more than happy to help you understand what we believe the value of your business to be. We regularly provide complimentary TUSK vals or evaluations for folks who are contemplating whether or not they want to go to market. We do this work, and it's a lot of work up front because it's important to us that we always meet or exceed the valuation expectations of our clients. We don't ask any money from you for this. We want to do it because, one, we're academically interested, and two, you deserve to know. Throughout this process, what we do is we go out to the buy side and ask them, hey, here are the characteristics of this business. Given where it is and the payer mix and the EBITDA range, what would you be willing to pay? And then we bring that information back to you. If that does, if the reaction that we get from the market, from a valuation perspective, is exciting to you, and is something that you would love to proceed with, that's when we begin working with you and engage to work with you to take you to market. If you'd like to have that conversation with Ryan, Alex, or myself, just pop over to the website, and you can click on the button down there on the right-hand side of this slide click here for a pre-practice valuation. You'll be set up to speak with one of us. We want to hear about your story. We want to know about your business. To us, it's much more personal than just what is your EBITDA, because you get one chance to sell this business, and we want to make sure that we're connecting you with the right group at the highest price. One final reminder, TUSK will be hosting a one-day workshop at the Dykema DSO conference. Just Google Dykema DSO conference. You will find the links there to register. It is 1 day in advance of Dykema's conference, so we'll be out there a day early. Come on out, get acclimated to the altitude, and enjoy a full day chatting with us about the M&A markets. Ryan, Alex, anything else to add?
No, thank you very much for the great evening, though.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody. We are out of time. We'll get to your questions over email. Thank you, and be on the lookout for next month's webinar, and we'll be sure to update you on the month that was. Hope everybody have a great evening.